It is the 14th of June, 1957. Maxwell Alexander Fraser is born in Hackney, East London, and the city hums around him. The clatter of footsteps on cobblestones, the distant wail of sirens, the rhythm of radios drifting from open windows, all of it presses into his small senses. Life smells of baked bread, coal fires, and the faint tang of the Thames. Before he is old enough to remember much, his family moves south to Brixton. The streets are alive with a pulse, children playing in alleyways, vendors calling out their wares, the bass of reggae and jazz weaving through the neighbourhood. Everything is a rhythm, and little Maxwell listens, absorbing, noticing, learning. Then come the long months at sea. The family leaves London for Cape Town, South Africa, travelling by ship. Maxi presses his small hands to the railing, feeling the sway beneath him, the endless blue stretching in every direction. The air is sharp with salt, the engines rumble below, and gulls wheel above, their cries mixing with the murmur of passengers. He watches the horizon and wonders where the world ends. Cape Town is bright and intense. The sun burns, the streets buzz with voices he doesn't yet understand. And everywhere he turns he senses the invisible lines that divide people. At Belmore Primary School in Hanover Park, he feels both small and alert, observing the city in ways a child does. The smells of markets, the flash of colour on clothing, the music that always seems to thread through the neighbourhoods. Music here is alive. Street performers on corners, radios playing jazz, rhythms of African drums, and it speaks to something deep inside him. After 3 years, the family returns to Brixton. Political tensions, the harsh realities of apartheid, and the pull of home have driven the decision. Back on familiar streets, Maxwell feels the solidity of London beneath his feet again. The rumble of buses, the bass of reggae from corner shops, the laughter of friends. But he carries South Africa in him. Its light, its heat, its rhythms, and the lessons of a world larger than the one he had known. It is in these streets, between the echoes of two continents, that Maxwell begins to feel the stirrings of music, not just as sound, but as a language, a lifeline, a way to make sense of the world around him. The late 1970s bleed into the early 1980s, and Maxwell Fraser is trying to find his footing. London is restless, Brixton is tense, jobs are scarce, money tighter. He takes work wherever he can find it, BT, council gardening crews, anything that pays the rent. During the day, he trims hedges in public parks, hands smelling of earth and petrol. At night, he listens, always listening. Music is no longer just something happening around him. It's something he studies. He spends hours digging through vinyl, teaching himself how records are built, where the drums sit, how bass moves a body, how silence matters just as much as sound. His flat fills with crates, sleeves are worn thin from being pulled out again and again. London clubs become classrooms. He watches DJs closely, how they pace a night, how they rescue a dying dance floor, how they create moments people remember for years. He notices that the best DJs aren't the loudest, they're the most patient. By his early 20s, he's working pirate radio shifts. The equipment is temperamental, the signal unstable. Sometimes the broadcast drops mid-track. Sometimes the police shut a station down without warning, but none of that matters. What matters is the voice travelling out into the night, landing in bedrooms, kitchens, cars parked on dark streets. Hip-hop arrives, like a jolt of electricity, when Maxwell hears it properly for the first time. It feels stripped bare, beats and words, nothing hidden. No polite melodies, no pretense, just truth, rhythm, attitude. It reminds him of reggae sound system culture, of spoken word poetry, of the power of voice over rhythm. He recognises it immediately. He starts playing it obsessively. By 1983, he's no longer just a DJ playing records. He's beginning to shape sound. Cutting breaks, looping beats, testing ideas. He starts calling himself Maxi Jazz, a name that feels bigger than his day jobs, bigger than the streets that raised him, but rooted in rhythm. In 1984, he founds the Soul Food Cafe system. It isn't a cafe, it's an idea, a space where beats feed people, a place where voices matter. Maxi pulls young MCs in, kids with raw talent and chaotic lives. He gives them cassettes of beats and time to write. Weeks pass, months. Many don't return. Life interrupts. Court dates, pregnancies, family pressure. Maxi waits. Then he realises something. If he wants the music to move forward, he has to step into the microphone himself. He doesn't rush it. He writes at night, often alone, words coming slowly, awkwardly at first. He hates most of what he writes, throws pages away. But every so often, a line lands properly, honest, direct, alive. By 1985, he's hosting In the Soul Kitchen with DJ Maxi Jazz on Reach FM. The show is raw and intimate. He talks between tracks. He explains why a record matters. He lets songs play out longer than they should. Listeners feel like he's speaking directly to them. In 1987, he moves to LWR, one of London's most influential pirate stations. The reach is bigger now. The pressure too. He sharpens his voice, becomes more confident behind the mic. This is where Maxi Jazz truly forms, not just as a DJ, but as a communicator. The city around him isn't calm. Brixton has lived through uprisings. Racism, policing, inequality hang heavy in the air. Maxi absorbs it all, but he doesn't shout about it. He processes it quietly, turning observation into lyric, frustration into calm authority. By the end of the 1980s, Soul Food Cafe evolves into a full band. They rehearse in cramped rooms, gear piled in corners, cables tangled underfoot. They argue about grooves, tones, tempos, meaning. They are trying to be more than background music. They want presence. In 1989, they're signed by Tam Tam Records, the dance arm of Savage Records. It feels like a breakthrough, but Maxi is careful. He's learned not to trust momentum too much. So in 1992, he starts Namu Records, releasing 3 EPs on his own terms. Touring begins properly now. Airports, sound checks, support slots for Jamiroquai, Soul 2, Soul, Galliano. Some nights the crowd listens, some nights they don't. Maxi learns to command attention without force, standing still, letting silence work for him. By 1996, Original Groove Juice Volume 1 is recorded in Deptford. It's the sound of years of graft finally captured. But the industry is unforgiving. The band fractures. Dreams shift. The road forward isn't clear. Maxi doesn't chase success. He keeps moving. Europe opens up. Collaborations follow. He works with Jar Wobble, stepping into dub-heavy soundscapes, stretching his voice, testing new spaces. Live shows with the Wobble Collective feel loose, exploratory, free. He's approaching 40 now. Most artists are slowing down. Maxi Jazz is only just getting started. By the mid-1990s, Maxi Jazz is seasoned. Not famous, not comfortable, but ready. He has lived enough life to know what words are worth. He has watched scenes rise and collapse. He has learned how fragile momentum is, how quickly noise can replace meaning. He carries all of that into the studio the day he meets Rollo Armstrong. The room smells faintly of coffee and warm electronics. Cables snake across the floor. Rollo plays him a track, unfinished, restless, pulsing with tension. He asks Maxi to write something about frustration. Maxi doesn't need to imagine it. That night he writes slowly. The first words feel wrong. He keeps going anyway. He understands now that the rubbish has to come out first. Somewhere past the discarded lines, something shifts. The writing stops coming from his head and starts arriving from somewhere quieter, deeper. When he steps into the booth and speaks the words, the track changes shape. This becomes Salva Mea, Faithless forms around that moment. Maxi Jazz, Rollo Armstrong, Sister Bliss, Jamie Cato. They are all different ages, different energies. The name Faithless is chosen almost casually, yet it sits in tension with Maxi's inner life. He is a committed Soka Gakkai Buddhist. He believes deeply in personal responsibility, in inner transformation, but he understands contradiction. He understands that names don't have to explain everything. In 1996, Reverence is released. At first it moves quietly. DJs pick it up. Ibiza hears it, then the clubs don't let go. Insomnia explodes, not as a shout but as a statement. Maxi's voice doesn't beg for attention, it claims it. I can't get no sleep, it feels confessional. Universal, timeless. On stage, Maxi discovers something surprising. Stillness is power. While beats surge behind him, he stands almost motionless, eyes fixed, finger raised. The crowd locks in. Tens of thousands move together, following a man who barely moves at all. Touring becomes relentless. Europe blurs into one long night. Sound checks, interviews, flights, hotel rooms that smell faintly of detergent and cigarettes. But the connection never fades. When he speaks, people listen. When he pauses, they lean in. In 1998, Sunday 8 p.m. arrives. God is a DJ reframes the club entirely, not as escape, but as sanctuary. The words feel deliberate, lived in. Maxi means them. This is our church. This is where we heal our hurts. By now, Faithless is no longer just successful. They are essential. Their shows feel communal, healing, almost ritualistic. In 2001, Outrospective is released. We Come One opens with a line that feels fragile and strong at the same time. It becomes an anthem. Stadiums fill. Glastonbury calls. The pyramid stage stretches out in front of him, a sea of faces waiting. Maxi steps forward, calm as ever. He feels the weight of it, but he doesn't crumble. He has always understood responsibility. Words matter, presence matters. Behind the scenes, life continues. He becomes deeply involved with cars, finding a different kind of focus in racing. Precision, danger, discipline. He races not to win, but to feel alive. He talks openly about finishing mid-pack and celebrating it anyway. In 2006, the pace finally catches up. Exhaustion creeps in quietly. Faithless releases to all new arrivals, and soon after, the band decides to pause. Not dramatically, just honestly. Maxi doesn't disappear. In 2009, he sings for 24 hours straight to raise money for comic relief. His voice holds, his body holds, his purpose holds. It's not a stunt, it's an offering. In 2010, Faithless returns with the dance. The crowds return too. Glastonbury again, stadiums again. The magic hasn't faded, but Maxi knows when to step back. In 2011, at Brixton Academy, he makes what feels like a closing statement. The performance is beamed live across Europe. He gives everything, and then he lets go. The others continue as Faithless 2.0. Maxi watches with pride, not regret. He understands seasons. A new one begins. He forms Maxi Jazz and the E-Type boys picking up a guitar and stripping things back. The music is warmer now. Funk, blues, reggae, soul. Less spectacle, more touch, smaller stages, direct eye contact. He tours with UB40, plays festivals, smiles more. He spends time in Jamaica, working in a small studio, the air heavy with warmth and birdsong. Mornings are slow, afternoons drift, music returns to being personal. Again, back in London he lives in West Norwood. He walks into Selhurst Park not as a celebrity, but as a fan. Crystal Palace becomes another constant. In 2012, he becomes an associate director, quietly present, thoughtful, respected. He is known now not just as a musician, but as a moral compass, a listener, a man who never pretends to be more than he is. On 23rd December 2022, Maxi Jazz dies peacefully. The news spreads slowly, then everywhere. Tributes arrive from musicians, fans, football supporters, dancers who once lost themselves to his voice at 3 a.m. Faithless speaks of meaning, of wisdom, of honour. At Selhurst Park, a massive tifo rises, his face, his words, his presence filling the stand. This is our church. This is where we heal our hurts. Maxi Jazz leaves no empty noise behind. He leaves intention, stillness, depth. And every time his voice cuts through a beat, somewhere in the world, someone listens and feels less alone.